$1,200 monthly checks for the low income. I have all the details and what you need to know right here in the video, so let's get right into it. All right, now many of us are very aware of all of these monthly check programs that have been popping up across the entire country over the last couple years. Well, we've also found from many of these different studies and reports that have been coming out on these monthly check programs that they are also very successful. They continue to monitor the money going out, they continue to monitor the recipients of the money, and time after time, report after report, we continue to find that all of these programs are incredibly successful and changing the lives of millions of people that are continuously getting these ongoing checks for 12 months, 24 months, 36 months, or possibly even up to 5 years in some instances. Well, in this video, I want to talk about an ongoing $1,200 check that some lawmakers are currently working on. So let's get into it and discuss all those details. However, really fast before we do, thank you so much for joining me. If you're new here or if you haven't done so yet, please make sure to subscribe by hitting the button right down below the video. It's totally free to do so, and so I can keep you updated each and every day during this very busy time, as I am your one and only daily advocate, and I'm very much dedicated to you and this community to find all the relevant information, break it down into these short videos, and bring them to you a few times throughout the day so you can stay updated with what is actually happening, especially with all these new announcements out of the administration, Congress, new bills, piece of legislation, reform to very important programs, as well as money, benefits, checks, programs, and anything else that may be popping up right now. Again, as things are changing very rapidly. So again, thanks so much for joining me. Please make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet, so you don't miss any videos going forward, and I'll continue to be here for you each and every day, right by your side, helping you out in any way that I can navigate this very confusing time. All right, thanks again. Let's jump into it and talk about what lawmakers are currently working on, what have they discussed, and what's going on with a $1,200 monthly check for the low income. Yeah, exactly. All right, so here's what it comes down to. Over the last couple of years here, in fact, over the last year alone, since early 2021, states received billions and billions and billions of dollars from the federal government. In fact, $350 billion was distributed to different states. Across all of the states across the country, every state got a little bit of money. Well, it wasn't exactly a little bit of money, it was a lot of money. $350 billion was divvied up between all the 50 states. It's a lot of money, right? Well, as a result of that, these states are sitting on a ton of money, and they need to spend it by the end of the day of December in 2024. Otherwise, they have to send it back. They need to give all that money back to the federal government if they don't spend it. Well, what do you think they're going to do? Do you think they're going to spend it, or do you think they're going to sit on it and then ultimately give it back to the federal government? They're going to spend it, and we can see that right now. Which is why we're actually seeing all of these monthly check programs popping up, especially over the last year or so. We're seeing tons of these programs popping up all across the country, in different cities, locations, different counties, statewide in some instances. All these programs. We're also seeing tax rebates, tax credits, stimulus checks. We're seeing all different types of payments that are popping up on the state level right now across the entire country. Tons of states are doing all kinds of different things. Here's what's kind of cool about it. All of these programs that I just mentioned are focused on the low income. Now, to be totally fair, some of these programs do not include certain groups of the low income, but all of these programs that I just mentioned are all focused on individuals within a certain threshold of income, under a certain threshold. So that's what it's come down to. These programs are never focused on the high income or rich people. They never come out and say, we're going to send out a stimulus check for the rich. They don't do that. Not a thing. It's not a thing at all. So I just want to make that very clear. All these programs are focused on the low income and or fixed income people like this. So it's pretty cool. Now, how does all of this translate into a $1,200 ongoing check for the low income? All right, so we got this proposal out of Progressive Representative Ilhan Omar, which, by the way, there's a handful of progressive representatives right now who are all backing up this movement of a $1,200 ongoing monthly check for the low income. And again, I'll define low income here in just a second by their definition. Not my definition, their definition. But anyway, I'll talk about that here in just a second. But here's the deal. Within this proposal and with what this representative wants to do, she wants to set up hundreds of pilot programs across the entire country to send out ongoing monthly checks to try to figure out the kind of viability of these programs. Guess what they're doing right now? Guess what's going on around the country right now? Tons and tons of these pilot programs are popping up all across the entire country. Now, of course, some states do not have them, but a lot of states out there right now have multiple different of these programs, monthly ongoing check programs. And again, in some instances, the programs include a $500 check. Sometimes it's $300. Sometimes it's $700. Sometimes it's even up to $1,200 ongoing in these monthly check programs that are administered on the state level. These are the pilot programs that are being popped up. Well, as a result of this is all just like a beta test to figure out how and when to start implementing these $1,200 ongoing checks on the nationwide level from the federal government rather than from the state level. Because right now, the states have all this money, and the states are kind of in charge of setting up all these pilot programs to figure out what's the viability, what is the feasibility of these programs. Well, they're simply finding with all these programs, as I discussed a minute ago, they're very successful, right? They continue to find time after time after time that all of these programs, when money is sent out to these individuals, they're actually significantly better off financially at the end of the month, at the end of the week, at the end of the day. They're all much better off. And again, this money is no strings attached. They can spend it on whatever they want. It does not matter at all. They can save it, they can spend it, they can buy a dog, they can buy a cat, they can buy a car, they can buy food, they can buy a refrigerator, they can do whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. They can do anything they want. So again, the possibilities are endless with this money, right? But the fact of the matter is they're finding that it's improving lives of millions of people across the country who continue to get these ongoing monthly checks. Well, here's what it comes down to. There's this handful of progressive representatives, again, who want to implement $1,200 ongoing checks that are administered by the federal government, not the state level, the federal government. Here's the difference. When checks are distributed on the state level, they can only go out to residents within that state. For example, let's just say, the state of California. California has multiple different monthly check programs going on right now. If somebody's located in Tennessee, they're not going to be eligible for the state check programs in California. That's not how it works. Only residents in the state of California can take advantage of them, right? Somebody in Florida, in Tennessee, in Virginia, in Texas, in Nebraska, I'm just giving examples, cannot take advantage of programs in the state of California. It's only the residents of California. So, in that sense, that's why it's kind of restrictive. However, when it's a federal program, federal programs are all-encompassing across the entire country, all states, right? Kind of makes sense? So that's why federal programs are so much more important, because if it's administered on the federal level, just like the 3 stimulus checks that we saw since early 2020 into early 2021, those were administered on the federal level. In other words, it was all encompassing across the entire country. It was not just within the parameters of one individual state. It was everybody across the entire country. That's why this is so incredibly important. So they want to implement these $1,200 ongoing checks for what they determine as a low income. Here's their definition of low income: $75,000 a year. Now again, I'm going to throw this out there. In my opinion, again, I don't want to instill my opinions into these videos all that much, but I just want to throw this one out there. In my opinion, $75,000 a year is not low income, but what do I know, right? But anyway, that's what they're determining as low income for an individual. $75,000 a year is what they determine as low income, and $150,000 for a married couple is low income. Can you imagine that? Would you identify yourself as low income if you had an income on an annual basis as a married couple as $150,000 a year? Would you identify as low income? I don't know. I guess if you're getting a check for $1,200, or actually for a married couple, it'd be $2,400 a month. In that sense, I guess, by all means, we're low income then, right? Put us into the category. Whatever gets us eligible for the check, then by all means, put me in that category, right? So anyway, kind of interesting, but this is how they've determined it. Now again, as I've said in previous videos, in my definition, and based on what I would think would be reasonable to send out checks for people who really need it right now, and again, this is something that should be implemented immediately, would be basically anybody with an income under $40,000. And again, the income could be from anything. It could be from earned income, from a job. It could be fixed income from Social Security or SSDI, SSI, VA, anything like this. Doesn't really matter. But again, those are just kind of the parameters that I've put around it, and what some lawmakers have also put around some of these other programs that have been out there as well. But anyway, when it comes down to it, they want to start up all of these pilot programs. Guess what? It's already been doing it. They're already doing it right now. For the last couple of years, they've already been doing these pilot programs. Well, the whole idea behind it is to figure out the feasibility behind these ongoing monthly checks of $1,200. Make sense? So when it comes down to it, the likelihood of an ongoing monthly check program across the entire country on a nationwide level administered by the federal government is highly likely. Is it going to be coming tomorrow? No, I don't think it's going to be coming tomorrow. Is it going to be coming next week? No, I don't think it's going to come next week either. Is it going to come next month? Probably not next month either. So just so that we're all on the same page here, this is something that's likely going to be coming, but is it going to be coming in the next couple days or the next month? Probably not, just to be totally real with you. But they are playing around with this, and this is something that those progressive lawmakers want to do. So, again, just want to bring this information to you because this is likely going to be the future, and we've seen this out of big, very influential people many, many times over the last couple of years here, where they've been talking about sending out these ongoing monthly checks, otherwise known as guaranteed basic income, because of basically the economy going into an automated economy. In other words, so many things are coming out right now that are automated, and robots and automation are taking over the economy. Therefore, there's not as many people out there working because we don't need to, because we're being taken over by robots and machines and automation, right? So no longer do we need humans as much as we once did to complete all the tasks. Well, as a result of that, then we need to implement a guaranteed basic income program. Kind of makes sense? So anyway, hope this gives you the latest details on where we currently stand with this, what's going on, and some further explanation behind this. But again, as I do get more details, as always, I'll be right here for you, breaking it all down, letting you know what's going on and how it's going to impact you, your money, your benefits, your lifestyle, your bank account, and anything else going on. So again, thanks so much for joining me. Please make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. Share the video with your friends, family, social media, and go back and check out some of the other thousands of videos here on the channel. Until next time, have a good one. Thanks so much for your support. I'll catch you again later in the next video. And until next time, have a